Shalom. All right, first and foremost, I'd like to give all thanks, glory, honor, and praise to the Supreme Power, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and salutation to the hopefully elect. This is the Brother Carson One from the GMS Bahamas Camp. I catch you through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Another lesson. Lord's willing, the lesson be edifying and serves a purpose. Shalom to the few sisters watching and learning. Stay strong and remain humble. All right, shalom to Allah Akim doing the works in sincerity and truth through the four winds. All right, as we know, pestilences, wars and rumors of wars, all right, famines, the sword is all a part of end time prophecy. And of course, we know we have these new pestilences that are upon us. And right now, all right, throughout the world, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, they're taking effect, all right, and which will lead to another lockdown of society as we know it, all right, and certain societies can't take another lockdown, all right, or else the economy will come down to its knees, but that's what the wicked elites want. They want these economies to come down to its knees so it could start implementing the RFID microchip, the mark of the beast. As we already see, the infrastructure is already being set up. All right, it was a decree from the king last night upon the digital ID system. All right, in which if you are not a part of the digital ID system, all right, it'll be very difficult for you to partake in society as pertaining to the book of Revelations, 13th chapter and the 17th verse. All right. So these are only prophecies that are beginning to speak, and prophecies was ever speaking out loud. This is how the Most High Power Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai works. All right. All his prophecies will come to fruition at the very specific time in which he declared it. All right. We have two more major prophecies to go, which is the mandatory implementation of the mark of the beast, which took a big step yesterday, pertaining to King Charles. All right. Declaring, all right, the digital ID system to be mandated, and other countries are going to follow suit. All right, and we know the other prophecy would be World War III, and we already see what's going on. All right, so here we have a pestilence. All right, I'm following the pestilence. Basically, my spirit has been on that, just keeping an eye on that. And here we have 11 more people, all right, who are basically infected with this new pestilence. It's soon become a worldwide outbreak, and the Most High Power Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, all right, is going to bring the world to its knees once again. All right, but I can play the video, get a couple of precepts, try and drive my point home. Don't want to make this too long. All right, this is just for edification's sake, not for monetary purposes. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
The hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship now has climbed to 11 reported cases, 9 of which have been confirmed.
A Spanish passenger has now tested positive for the virus, and an infected French woman is in critical condition, being treated with an artificial lung. Fox's Jonathan Seri has the update from Omaha.
All 16 cruise ship passengers undergoing monitoring at the University of Nebraska Medical Center remain asymptomatic. The quarantine unit director is urging them to wait out the virus's maximum 42-day incubation period here, even if they're cleared to go home early.
The big reason that I would want to stay close is if I contracted symptoms, I would want to be somewhere that would be able to adequately provide care, and if it was necessary, provide that advanced life support there.
Federal health officials say a passenger taken to Emory University in Atlanta to check out mild symptoms tested negative for hantavirus last night. Out of an abundance of caution, a close travel companion with no symptoms is also under observation in Atlanta.
We know this virus, we know how it acts, and this has worked well in the past to ensure that there is no further spread.
The U.S. is among 10 countries actively monitoring passengers from the cruise ship at the center of the outbreak traced to the Andes virus. A CDC spokesperson tells Fox News Andes virus is the only type of hantavirus that is known to spread person to person. This type of spread is rare and is usually limited to people who have close contact with a sick person. The World Health Organization says all 11 confirmed and suspected cases involve passengers or crew.
There were some people around the world calling for the passengers to be contained on the ship for the full quarantine period. Our view was that would have been inhumane and unnecessary.
Well, hard-headed, but don't make good soup. All right, you already suffered the consequences pertaining to the coronavirus. Now you're gonna take a chance again. All right, who the hell them people is? All right, but this is where they want. All right, they want this thing to spread in order for economies to collapse and in order for them to bring in their MOTB system. All right, but the Most High Power Yahweh Shem Yahushai said things that this was gonna happen. Keep them 11 people on the damn ship. How could you be so stupid? All right. But this is why we need Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach to come back to rule in righteousness. All right. Because these powers of being these supposed to be smart people. All right. They ain't so smart. You understand? Keep that right there at bay for the mandatory quarantine time. Don't let these people touch land. All right. Because they already see. All right. It's rare that they could jump from place to place, but it's not impossible. The Most High Power Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai don't play. All right. The Most High Power. If the Most High Power want that jump from place to place, it will jump from place to place. All right. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is the King of terrorists.
And unnecessary.
Health authorities in Washington state have announced they are monitoring 2 Seattle area residents who may have been exposed to an infected cruise ship passenger on a flight. A third King County resident was on the cruise and is among the passengers being evaluated here in Nebraska. In Omaha, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
All right, so there you have it. All right, another pestilence through the spreading power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And guess what? We need these things to happen, man, in order for the kingdom of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai to be established. We need these things to happen. All right. This is the book of Jeremiah 28:8. It reads, "The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence." War is taking place right now between China and Japan. Evil is taking place throughout the world. Bad times are here. All right, bad times are being felt. Okay, a lot of people are bugging out. The hearts are cold. The hearts of many are wax cold. All right, we have a lot of things happening through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. And as we see, the pestilence is here and in full effect, because we just not too long ago come from a worldwide shutdown of a pestilence, and here we have a new one being ushered in by the King of Terrorists, Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. So guess what? The Lord is doing his thing, man. The Most High Power Yahweh by Shem Yahushai is doing his thing. And we need these things to happen for the kingdom of righteousness to be established. So let the Lord's will be done. All right. We know the Most High Power Yahweh by Shem Yahushai got us in which way. All right. The cookie crumble. All right. That's 2 Corinthians 2:11. It reads, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." I mean, ignorant of Satan's devices. There's a reason why he won't let them 11 people off of the cruise ship. All right. In order for them to infect others. You see? But we know the Most High Power Yahweh by Shem Yahushai in control of all things. All right. But guess what? The Most High, he spoke of things like this that were pertaining to happen. The Most High told us that we would see diseases that we didn't see in Egypt. All right. New diseases that we hadn't seen. All right, in the days of old. All right. But guess what? They're here now. All right. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. And what am I looking for? Select Deuteronomy 28 and 60 and 61. All right, this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and 60. It reads, "Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also, every sickness and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai bring upon thee until thou be destroyed." Speaking to you so-called Native Americans, Negroes, and Latinos, right? The Most High Power Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai could bring diseases that we haven't heard of and we haven't seen, all right? And we ain't able to treat so easily, all right? All for the destruction of our people, because this is only for you so-called Native Americans, Negroes, and Latinos, our people, all right? The rest of these heathen nations, all right? To hell with them, they can do what they want to do. All right, but speaking to you so-called Native Americans, Negroes, Latinos, and speckled birds scattered across the four winds. All right, because we everywhere and we look like everyone. All right, but if the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai enters you and you have the compelling to repent, chances are, all right, you are Israelite. All right, if you have the fear of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai in you, all right, you are an Israelite. Okay, the Most High Power Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right, just doing a marvelous work in this earth, and we seeing it happen wholeheartedly. All right, so I close it with Matthew 24:7. All right, close it with that. All right, this is the book of Salakia. This is the book of Matthew 24. I can take it from verse 6. Matthew 24:6. Salakia. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24. I can take it from verse 3. It reads, And he sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, speaking of Lord Yahushua Mashiach, Tell us, where shall these things be, and what shall be the signs of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come into my name, saying, I am a Mashiach, and shall deceive many. All right, that's the kingdom trying to implement that digital ID system right now and bringing in the mark of the beast with them lying wonders and signs. All right, well, that's another lesson for tomorrow for the highways and hedges. All right, so verse 5 says, For many shall come in my name, saying, I am a Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and we're seeing that happen throughout the world. And famines, and there shall be famines. All right, we see famines taking place on a mass scale. All right, either engineered famines, all right, or natural famines happening, because these genetically modified foods can't give you no nutrition either. So people eating every day but not receiving the proper nutrients. That's why these bodies breaking down, because of the poisons that are being taken. All right. It says, and pestilences, all right, so that's it is about that new pestilence, that hunter virus, all right, 11 people being affected, all right, even if it's a man-made one, through Esau, Edom, and their witchcraft and their science, or through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, it came naturally, all right, but we know everything is of the Most High Power Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. I read it again. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So the beginning of sorrows has taken place. The Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, all right, is in full action. All right, we know the Most High Power Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is bringing judgment every day. All right, so this is the time to repent now, Yasharahla. Come back to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right, while the doors of mercy is still open unto you. All right, keep that line of communication open with the Most High Power Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Repent, pray. All right, watch as well as pray. All right, measure the times diligently. All right, and keep your head on a swivel. All right, you see the king just made that declaration yesterday. All right, that is big. All right, that beast system is being implemented to usher in the mark of the beast. World War III is about to pop off. All right, we have Trump carrying all of the elites, all right, or some of the elites, all right, to China to have meetings with China, all right, but we also know Russia's in the background, ready for war at any time. North Korea's in the background, ready for war at any time, and we know their nuclear capability. China also, all right, we know Babylon the Great, all right, King Nero here could swing at any time, all right. So these are beautiful times that we're living in, and as we know, these the signs of the end is here, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. So come back to the Most High while the doors of mercy is still open unto you. Repent, for the kingdom of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai is near. All right. So Lord's willing, this lesson was edifying, all right, and it serves a purpose, all right, which is to help build a spiritual tabernacle of King David. Repent, repent, repent. Come back to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, all right. continue to read, continue to study. All right. Speaking, start with myself at first. All right. We have to put more into the spirit. All right. I've been in a little imbalance lately. All right. And the water yaw by Shim Yawashai for the brothers in my camp. All right. Basically pointing it out to me, waking me up to it. You know what I mean? Leading by example. Showing me things, pointing it out because, boy, it ain't easy. You know what I mean? Our daily, going through with our daily lives. All right. With the daily struggle of life. Trying to balance, all right, everything. You have these bills, you have these down bodies for breaking down on you, all right. You have all kind of stress over your head. This is why we need, all right, to get out of here, man. We need our kingdom to be established, all right. So you got to put more into the spirit, increase your reading, all right. Pray to the Most High Power, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh, Shai, more. Repent, all right, and try stay balanced. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. All right, so with that, I'd like to give all thanks, glory, honor, and prayers to the Supreme Power, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash, double honor to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and salutation to the hopefully elect. All right, this is the Brother Cause one closing until we meet again. Shalom, Abad Baboil, and Ban-Yasharahla.